Just curious, how many students have you had the opportunity to work with over the last, 3, 4 months? How much revenue have you generated kind of in full?
Yeah, so 8 students. Yeah, I think that's still right. 8 students and about 9,300. Yeah.
9,300.
So
Amazing, man. Hey, there he is. What's up, John?
they're good. They're good.
Awesome, man. Good to have you on here, man. It's great to connect with you today. Well, I'm excited to go ahead and have this conversation with you, man. We might have some people jumping on here to kind of join us for the conversation. We'll see how many people kind of pop on. But I'm just really excited to go ahead and celebrate you, man, and jump into this thing here moving forward. And for anybody catching this on the replay, you guys have not met myself yet. My name is Kyle. I'm the client success director here at the Teacher Project. John, do you want to go ahead and just kind of let us know where you're located at and the subject that you kind of go ahead and work with students on? Just kind of kick us off.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in Charleston, South Carolina, and I'm doing ACT tutoring now.
Awesome, awesome. That actually speaks to my bread and butter right there as well, John. I kind of did
Yeah,
math when I
definitely.
first came into the teacher project back 5 years ago and got into e-test prep as well. Have you been working with students on ACT for quite a bit?
Similar to you, I started with just math tutoring. So I had a math tutoring business I was doing for about 4 years. And then a couple years ago, I started doing a couple ACT tutoring because people need test prep. And so I did a couple like in-person courses. I kind of studied the book and how to prep for all
Yeah,
4 subjects. And so, yeah, I did a little bit of that ACT tutoring. So I did like an in-person course twice for ACT
nice.
tutoring. And then I tutored a couple individuals in ACT tutoring. So when I joined the teacher project, that was something that was really helpful is I think you guys kind of helped me focus on that niche because I was like, hey, I tutor, grad school students in statistics, and I tutor elementary school kids in math and
Yeah.
everything in between. And ACT tutoring, I was niched. I was just like whatever client I could get, I would tutor them because I had a lot of ability and range of ability in tutoring math. But really seeing that really focusing down on that niche is going to be a lot more
Mhm.
profitable. And you guys recommended based on my background that hey, ACT tutoring is really good niche, and since you have experience in that, that'd be a good place to focus
Yeah.
down on. So yeah, I'm very thankful for that. So that's how I went to
I
focus on
love
the
that. I
ACT.
love that, man. Just kind of hearing kind of where you came from and kind of how you got your start as well. And I think we all go through those gradual, I would get growing pains or like those different stages, those different seasons that we kind of look at our tutoring business. And I know that, these conversations, we all have something to be able to share, advice to give, somebody else can learn from your journey and maybe even be inspired to go ahead and jump in and say, yeah, like I can do this as well, man. So I'm just really excited just to kind of have just a really, simple, casual conversation with you today, just to kind of dig into your story. And I know that, just looking at where you've only been with us here at the Teacher Project about 3 months. I think you got started like beginning of August, and seeing you be able
Mhm.
to generate, close to that 10K, about 9,300. Maybe you've made some sales since you filled out the application maybe a few weeks back, but just so excited to go ahead and kind of dig in on that here with you. So, yeah, man, I guess like the first thing that I always like to ask somebody, and you kind of dove into this a little bit already, but can you kind of share like what was going on in your business, or maybe the business hadn't even quite started yet before the teacher project? Like what was going on? What were you feeling? What were you experiencing like before jumping in with us?
That's a great question. So I started my tutoring business when I got out of the Navy, and I went to grad school for teaching. So in
Yeah,
the Navy, I was an instructor. I basically taught a math course in a Navy training school. And so, yeah, I learned to love teaching. And so I was getting a master's, and then, finances are tight when you're like a full-time college student. So
absolutely.
it was kind of my thing to, do to make money. And I never really envisioned like tutoring like long-term forever. I'm just going to do tutoring for now until I get like a good full-time job, and then I won't have to worry about tutoring. And so I kind of did that for a while. Again, I started just like advertising on Thumbtack, and you get leads in of all various types. And then I worked in private school for a few years. I worked in a public school last year. But then I noticed like I kind of tried to stop tutoring, but then people kept reaching out because I'd helped so many people
That
so well.
happens if you do a good
Like I
job.
couldn't like I tried to stop the business, and then like especially like close friends and family like need tutoring help. I'm like, oh yeah, of course, okay, I'll help. So I was still kind of tutoring some people on and off there. And then last summer, so it's interesting. I actually had decided to transition out of teaching just because kind of some things with the family. I just realized I just really wanted to make a lot more money, to really be able to support us and having more kids and just the way the economy is now. And so I was actually looking at going into cybersecurity since I heard that was like a good industry.
Mhm.
And so I spent this summer studying like cybersecurity and getting qualifications because I heard it was really high demand. If you get certified, you can go into that. But I'm like, let me just kind of keep growing the tutoring business during the summer while I'm trying to transition careers. And so I found out like apparently a bunch of what seems to have happened, a bunch of people read the same articles that I did, like, oh, there's a huge demand in cybersecurity, and then like a bunch of people are entering that field, and
Rush.
like entry level positions were like oversaturated. And so I had applied to like 100 jobs and didn't get any. And actually didn't. So it's funny, I didn't sign my teacher contract for the next year because I had applied for a job I thought I was going to get. I was waiting to hear
Mhm.
back. I'm like, yo, let me just go all in for the cyber thing. And I was tutoring still some through the summer to get some money. But again, it wasn't like to make full time. So like I kind of hit crisis mode at the end of the summer because I had that teacher salary from the last school year that went to in the summer. I'm like, what am I going to do now? And I'd seen that a thing
Yeah.
about the teacher project earlier, like, oh, is it we help teachers, generate like tons of income. You can make like 100. This guy makes over 100K a year, and I'm like, all right, I'm kind of crisis mode now. I need to figure out something. This seems like a great
Mhm.
investment. And so, yeah, I signed up for the teacher project and went all in. And I'm like, how can I turn this thing that's kind of been like something that generates some extra income, but it's never, really seemed like it could be like my main income source. It was always something that could just be on the side. Because my thought was, if I was tutoring people like hourly, so I'd help somebody, like I started $40 an hour. I gradually built up to like $50 to $60 an hour. But I'm like, in order to make enough money to live on, I have to tutor like all evening, every evening. And because, most
Yep.
students aren't available during the day. So I could tutor like 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., 5 days a week and still, kind of be okay. But just this model that you learn in the teacher project is so much better. The group tutoring, you're really charging not by hour, but for developing a really high quality course that's going to help students reach their goal. And especially with, ACT prep, it's really good investment for parents because you can, spend $2,000 on an ACT prep course and then earn a full ride scholarship to college and save like many thousands of dollars. So you'll be
Big
able to
bonuses
provide
there.
value that's a good value to parents. It's, just a much better model. So that really
Yeah.
helped a lot.
I love that. I love what you said too, John, about how you thought you were going to take a different avenue, right?
Right.
Teaching wasn't it. I want to go ahead and start, expand my family. I want to generate more income. I want to provide for my family in different ways. And instantly your mind went to cybersecurity. Let me
Yeah.
just completely get out of this. Let me go in a different direction. And then to see, okay, that wasn't it. Okay, is there a way for me to actually take this, passion for education and helping students, have those breakthrough moments? Can I do it in a different way? And I just love how you were saying, like, hey, I didn't sign up for to teach in the classroom. My back was against the wall, and now I
Yeah.
got to go all in on this thing here moving forward. Talk me through that because there had to be a lot of emotions going on in your home between you and your wife and like trying to figure this out. Like, what was coming up, man? I think a lot of people watching this could probably relate.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough situation when you're out of money and don't have income. You got to figure out something to do. So, and also thinking back, like, oh man, obviously I made the bad choice not signing the contract, and thinking about, and again, I thought about like looking into teaching jobs at most schools that probably have, the teachers already. And I maybe could have found somewhere. I didn't necessarily go look for teaching jobs at the moment, but I
Mhm.
had to figure out what's really going to work for us and what really has the capacity to grow and can scale. Yeah, I mean, just definitely felt, tense in that moment and just really, and, too, even deciding to kind of invest. Like I actually heard about the teacher project in May and actually did the whole, meeting with somebody. And I was like, I'm really just looking for something to help me for the next 3 months. Because my thought in May was
So
like, I'm
short
going to
term.
tutor for 3 more months and then I'm going to be done tutoring forever. I was almost
Mhm.
like, all right, I'm going to do it for a
Yeah.
little longer. And then I'm okay, never tutoring again. I'm going to get a good job making like 90,000 a year in cybersecurity. And then it didn't play out that way. And then
Yep.
also realizing too, like you said, like the gifts, like the thing that I've been doing for 10 years, the gifts that I've built and learned that can actually be more effective in generating a lot of income instead of trying to learn a whole new skill. Because as good
Absolutely.
as I am at learning new things and developing new skills, I learned a lot about cybersecurity over the summer. It's still, I mean, it's a lot to transition into a whole new industry. And so, and that was the thing. At first, it was like, well, what are you going to do if you start the tutoring business and then you also get this cybersecurity job, let's say you get back and you hear one. I'm like, well, the good thing I'm seeing about this is most students, like, again, if you're doing it the smart way, you maybe still have your teaching job. You didn't just quit it. You have your teaching job and then you tutor on the side in the evening. So I'm like, it seems like the
Yep.
model works well enough that you can grow it. And all the tutoring sessions I'm going to do are going to be in the evening anyway. So best
Yep.
case scenario, I get a new job and I can tutor in the evening. That's great. And I can build a business. And so, and then I ended up, and because it takes a little bit before you get your first clients. I ended up in September getting a job. A friend of mine has a business cleaning pools, and he had an employee that like quit all of a sudden, and he was in kind of crisis mode for his business,
Yeah.
needing like an extra worker to take care of the list of pools he had. So I ended up working as a pool cleaner for him while I was then tutoring in the evening and building. It's
That's
funny
what you
stuff.
got to do, though. It's like doing, just
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
getting in, taking action, like you said. Hey, I'm jumping in full time into the tutoring business. What if this other opportunity comes up? Well, hey, maybe I can take that and keep building and like build over time, right? But I want to affirm you in this, and anybody else watching this, that you said you were feeling that tension, right? Like, oh man, I got to make a move here. Well, guess what, man? Sometimes that tension isn't negative. Sometimes we need that tension to jump and go do something. I can remember sitting on a plane for a year. I was in business consulting. I was in a consulting gig that I just wasn't passionate about. And I remember tutoring on the side and just looking at this and saying, wow, this is fulfilling. I love this so much. And I remember like thinking about doing it for a year, John. And then finally, I remember getting off the plane and being like, I'm done with this. I'm going to go do this. And it was so freeing, man, to go ahead and say, yeah, I'm jumping full on into this, having that autonomy, the creativity, ability to help students build something that's like fully your own, which is super, super powerful. So I just give you a ton of credit, man, for going ahead and saying, hey, this door shut. What other doors and windows are open? I'm going to jump into it. And I just love that this new model, this new way of thinking, right? We say thinking differently from maybe hourly to
Right.
being able to say, how can I do this in a group model, sell programs instead of like group instruction, right? We say, hey, we're creating programs to help your students get even better results. And it's been paying off, which is great. So we kind of know where you were, right? Fill us in. What was the experience like? Because I know a lot of people are like, hey, what happens in the first, 30 to 45 days coming in here to the teacher project? Like, what was your experience like coming in?
Yeah, so that was great. Yeah, so August, I was able to spend, basically all day every day learning the curriculum. Like the curriculum was so valuable, especially because I had t tried to do it on my own. Like in the summer, I tried to launch a group tutoring thing. I mentioned I used to do one-on-one tutoring. After I got the kind of initial sales pitch from the teacher project in May, I was like, well, let me just kind of try to do something like that by myself. I'll try to run Facebook ads. I'll try to start a group tutoring program. I decided to
Hmm.
try to launch one for like, I had an idea that maybe preparation for like a college math club test might be good. Like, hey,
Hmm.
don't pay college tuition, test out of college and take this math club. So I put time into designing a course. I ran Facebook ads, and it wasn't that successful. I got one client that was somebody that I knew that, just be nice and pay me for the course. And so when I was going through the teacher project curriculum, I'm like, wow, this like I feel like I had a greater understanding of how valuable the content was. Because my thought from the summer, like, oh, I can just like study YouTube videos on how to run Facebook ads and I can learn it myself. I'm like, and as I go through the curriculum, I'm like, man, me trying to do this on my own would have taken me so much longer. It would have taken me years
A lot of
probably to
mistakes.
like all like every lesson. I feel like I had a greater appreciation of the value that was brought. So learning all aspects of the business. So you got to generate leads, you'll be able to close the leads, be able to care for leads, generate a good program. From like first step in learning how to optimize the leads, then how to communicate to people as you're
Hmm.
reaching out to them and having the right expectation. Like I remember when I was doing it on my own, I was excited to get a couple leads, and then I called them and like they didn't answer. And I'm like freaking out, like, man, what in the world? Why did they not answer? Like I called them, I texted them, why would you fill out a form that you want tutoring and then just ghost me? Like, what is going on? And I was like,
Hmm.
and then but just learning like that's just the way things end. Like you're not going to get two leads and probably them answer you. But just understanding the percentages, you might get 10 leads and probably one or two are going to respond
Hmm.
and book a meeting. And then you might have 10 sales calls meetings and like maybe three or four will close the program. And it's just a numbers game. You just got to set up a system where you're getting a lot of leads coming in, you're booking a
Yeah.
lot of sales call meetings. You learn to improve the sales skills. And I too, I kind of didn't like the idea of sales. It's funny, my mom, her first husband that she got divorced before she met my dad was a salesperson. He was just like a terrible manipulative person. So she told me, you're never allowed to go into sales. Salespeople are terrible. And so just learning to like not really think about it as sales. I'm not like a sleazy used car salesman, but just presenting
Yeah.
the offer like, hey, this is the tutoring program that I've built that can help students. And if it's a good fit, you can sign up. And if it's not a good fit, I'm not going to twist your arm and tell you to sign up. It's just
Yeah.
learning to, but also learning to clearly communicate. And I learned too, because my first inclination is try to avoid the sales thing. Like if somebody reaches out, it's like, oh, well, how much is your program? I could tell them, oh, here, my program's $1,800. I offer all this, and just you decide. But realizing that sometimes, people kind of need to be kind of more thoroughly walked through the process
Hmm.
of how it can help. That like they almost need coaching and really understanding to make the best
Value.
decisions. And it's funny, my wife who watched another YouTube video is kind of outside of this, but similar like themes of what we learn in the teacher project. There's a lady that teaches a sales course called Persuade for Good and talk about like, sales and business can kind of be like the same persuasion techniques you should use with your kids. Like a lot of times you want your kids to do the right thing. You want them to do stuff for their benefit, which is good, but sometimes they don't listen to you, right? And you can just kind of like, bring down the hammer and punish them, but you can find ways to persuade them to do what's good for them. Right.
Hmm.
And so you learn similar things that it's good to, like just kind of sit down with the parent, get to know that with them, build a connection, just share my program. And I learned to just really not stress about the results. And that's the other thing that was so valuable about the teacher program. Like you get a script for like, hey, this is how you can go through a sales call, just present your program, identify what needs the student has, how to drop your offer. And so it was actually became really easy once I learned it. And Kyle, I watched some of your example videos and it was great because you teach ACT tutoring. So I just kind of modeled like, and so I just kind of copied how you did your sales call. And then it was easy. And then they just started booking and signing up because they
That's
realized
amazing.
I found the right client that was a good fit.
I love that, John. I love that. And I know you and I are in this ACT realm. And if other people are watching this, I want you guys to know like we work with clients that help students in all areas, not just test prep, ACT, SAT, but reading, math, science, foreign language, computer science, like anything. If you guys can go ahead and there's a person out there with a problem, you have a passion for teaching something, like you guys can go ahead and do that as well. And John, I just love that just hearing you voice what you've learned from being in this program, going through the curriculum and dealing, working through like the coaching program, I could just tell you were just sharing gold throughout that entire thing. And, to anybody that's not inside the teacher project right now, John, you came in August. We had our
Mm.
original curriculum in there. We've actually just updated that here at the beginning of October. Guys, it's even better than it was before, easier, simpler, clear. John was just talking about all of the things that he learned throughout that, from lead follow-up to lead nurture to going ahead and learning how can I run these sales calls and like step back, disengage from the outcome. You're there, right? Not as a sleazy car salesman, but as a leader. We say it all the time. Sales is leadership, and we have to understand the person we're talking to, and we need to go ahead and help understand their goals and help them see, hey, my vehicle or my program might be exactly what you need to kind of get there. So, John, just I can just see your confidence, man, radiating on this call, that you're just like, yeah, I feel grounded. I feel secure. I'm that pilot that's not freaking out in turbulence, but I'm going ahead and helping guide somebody that is struggling, that is going through a problem, the student, the family, which is really, really cool, man. So thanks for sharing that. I think that was just gold. What do you think, like, as you kind of think back on the last like 3, 4 months, what was maybe one of those big results that you had that maybe even just happened that was like, wow, I can do this? What comes to mind for you?
Yeah, so I think a couple moments. So I mentioned, in August I was learning a lot about the curriculum. I was building it, I was launching the ads, and I was hopeful that like maybe just, miraculously I could just start getting sales right away. And sometimes it's a process, and so that's why in September I started working the pool job. But when yeah, I started making sales, my first two sales were people that I knew kind of in my community, so I already had a relationship with them. I got them to sign up. I started my ACT program as a like $1,000 course, and
Hmm.
then the first time I closed a sale from an actual Facebook lead was great because
Hmm.
then like I was starting to get more quality leads. And it was funny, I was driving home from, the pool business. So I'm in my work truck with my work shirt. And what I did as a backup, because I knew sometimes with traffic I might not get home in time, I had like a nice like polo shirt and my laptop
Yeah.
in my bag. So sure enough, I pulled over in a parking lot. I changed the zoom so it's like an office background. I put my polo shirt on, I set up the laptop and my Wi-Fi thing in the car. And when the student, I just explain my program, then they book. They're like, all right, cool, we'll sign up, pay in full in the beginning. I'm like, all right, nice. Because I had some other sales calls that were like difficult. And I'm like, oh, like the first few sales calls I had is like the people they just didn't have the money. I think just realistically they couldn't afford it. Like, no, we just don't have it. And I kind of maybe tried to work with them and it
Hmm.
wasn't in the cards. But realizing, hey, I found like through my lead system, I found somebody that's a good fit and they're willing to pay. And it wasn't difficult. Like I feel like I didn't have to try really hard to persuade them and do sale. Like I just told them the program. Like that time I didn't even follow the script totally. I kind of cut to the end quickly because he asked questions and I think it seemed eager to just sign up and buy. So that was great. So I was like, all right, this is working. Like if I can do it once, I can do it again. And then realizing too that month that I was cleaning the pools, I ended up making more from the tutoring business than I did cleaning the swimming
Hmm.
pools. And so then I was able to transition out of that. And I told my friend, hey, let's find a new employee. I'll train him so he doesn't have a bad transition like last time. So I trained up my replacement for that business and I left that so I could devote a lot more time. And then about that time you mentioned the new curriculum. So then I think mid-October, then I'm back to having full time to work in the tutoring business. And so I went through that new curriculum again, and again, extremely valuable. And I noticed too how, if I remember right, the 3.0 curriculum, like it was Elliot Phillips doing like all the lessons and all the modules.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed in his strategy is really being able to delegate to people that can specialize in an area. So there's
Hmm.
so many different instructors, but I noticed like Rob is like an expert in sales, and he's like he does all the sales calls. He's great at that. He does the sales teaching, and there's different instructors in each module that like
Hmm.
hyper focus specialize on their kind of like their area of genius. And it was really efficient. It was, and I looked at it as great for just like getting started and getting everything launched. And so the next big moment was I had a sales call. It was actually on my birthday. My parents were over here visiting. Yeah, I got to keep the, sales calls and the bookings. And I went
We ain't missing a beat. We ain't missing a
yeah,
beat.
in the room after dinner, and I went through the pitch and the sales call, and I raised my price to 1,500. Yeah, I was kind of nervous about the higher price, so I told him. I mean, realistically, like I saw your video, you charge like I think 18 to 2,400 for ACT course. So I told him, it's typically I'm like, let me mark it as an $1,800 course, and I'll mark it down for them. And so I'm like, it's typically an $1,800 course discount right now. If you sign up today, you can get it for 1,500. They're like, okay, great. And the parent looks at the student, you're going to work hard on this, and they're like, yep, boom, sign up. So easy. Like again, like that. Just seeing again that when you find the right client, it's just easy. It's not hard. And two, it was awesome getting to know the student to really see like this is a struggle they have that I'm confident that I know I can help them through.
Hmm.
And then I remember my coach told me it's like, listen, I was watching them, and when you said 1,800, you immediately then said, oh, but we're discounting it to 1,500. They probably would have paid the 1,800. They were tracking with you. They were invested. They said 10 out of 10. This sounds like the thing. And so then the next then right after that, I had two more sales calls. Explain the program. I'm like, hey, 1,800 for the program. They're like, great, we'll sign up, pay in full. And then I got out of the meeting. I'm like, this can work. This is a viable business. Like I don't need to look for another job anymore. Like this is gonna work. If I can keep doing this, I've done it 3 times now, where I found parents that were willing to pay 1,800 because, and again, the discount sometimes is good, but understanding that, they see the value of it. I'm confident that I've developed a program that has that level of value that I know can
Mhm.
help them be successful.
Guys, quick interrupt. I hope you're enjoying the video, but I wanted to make sure you picked up your copy of Teaching on Your Own Terms. It's my best-selling book, and it shares with you the exact 5 steps that I've used with over 2,000 teachers at this point, helping them build their dream online teaching businesses. It went to bestseller in 7 categories. It's been featured by NASDAQ in Times Square, New York City. And I know you're going to love it. Inside of the book, you're going to learn things like how to position yourself as the go-to tutor in the marketplace and the offer that you can create to get your ideal students reaching out and how to communicate that. I'll share with you what I've seen as the best advertising strategies to get in front of new students and parents who want what you've got, how to sell your services, and everything you actually need to include in an online group tutoring business to make sure your students crush it and get great results. There's some free gifts and bonuses in there. I think in the first couple of pages, there's a link. You can go and grab some free gifts on me. But I know you're going to love it. Teaching on Your Own Terms. I'll leave a link down below in the comments and go and pick up your copy today.
And here's the
That was
thing I
the
want
moment.
you to know,
The moment.
right?
Yeah.
That you found a level of belief, and this is to anybody watching this, right? When you
Mhm.
first get into that first call, I think we might not believe in ourselves. We might not believe in our own program. We might not believe in our own skills. So how is that other person on the other side of the Zoom call supposed to believe in our program if we aren't even fully sold, right?
Right.
Same thing with price. Like if you throw out a number and you don't believe it's worth that, guess what? You are going to be tentative around that. And that's the one thing that I've realized is that the number is just a number. What's the difference between 1,200, 1,500, 1,800, 2,100, 2,400, 2,800, 3,200? You see how I'm just saying hundreds for everything? That's the one
Yeah.
trick that I've realized is that when you say your program's 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, people start to like hear thousands. Thousands sound more than
Mm.
hundreds. And
Mm.
so for me, man, if you want to go ahead and start dipping your toe into those higher price points for test prep, especially, say your program's 2,400, but we got an early Christmas special, you can get 300 off, so it's actually, 2,100. Next one, do that 3 times. You get 3 sales, jump it up to 2,800, bring it down to 25, right? Jump it up again. We got a few people that are charging north of 3K, 4K for certain things. And again, they're so confident in their results that they don't bat an eye. They disengage from the results. And so I could totally see you, John, like going through that and after every one of those calls being like, how did I just do that? If I can do it at 1,500, I can do it at 1,800, I can do it at 2,400, I can do it at 2,800, right? That's just the belief coming out in you, man. I just can't wait to see you make those posts in our school community and say, hey, man, pay in full. Just closed it at a higher price point because that elevates your standards. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And then
cool.
I'll just think of one more I mentioned too. The very first student that I helped, and honestly, because my first course, I tried to make it a group course, but one student I had in, but it was fine.
Mhm.
I tutored him through everything. And honestly, the course I have now is a lot more effective than probably than what I helped him through. He had increased his score by 6 points. He just earned a full ride scholarship to the college of his
Awesome.
dream. So, like hearing just that first success story, gonna be able to connect with them, do an interview
Yeah.
kind of like this too, and it's like it's working because that's the main thing. Because I know if for some reason the program's not working and everybody's like not doing well on the ACT, then it's it's all gonna fall apart. But
Yeah.
no, I shouldn't say that. Then I would learn how to improve it, and grow
Mhm.
from there. But seeing very first student in my this model of teaching, like being successful, being
Do
excited
that
to see
social
their
proof,
dreams.
right? That this
Yes.
can work. I can go ahead and help students get results. And I used to be that too. You talk
Yeah.
about one-on-one instruction. I
Yeah.
used to do a lot of one-on-one, but I had a lot of students that came to me, John, that were like, okay, Kyle, what are we going to do now? They were very disengaged from the plan. It was always, what am I going to
Right.
teach them? Once I
Right.
started to establish as, wow, my job is to help you become an independent problem solver that takes control of your education. And I gave
Mm.
them the roadmap, I gave them the vehicle. They were
Mm.
responsible for putting their foot on the accelerator to drive through things, even if I wasn't telling them to. Here's the roadmap from a 20 to a 28 or a 33 or whatever. They started to
Yeah.
they had more buy-in. And by having more buy-in, they took more action. And by taking more action, they had more opportunities to get higher scores. Parents want that, right?
Yeah.
How do we get there quicker with the
Yes.
less fluff? And so, man, I'm just really, really proud of you for going ahead and walking through that. Just curious, how many students have you had the opportunity to work with over the last, 3, 4 months? How much revenue have you generated kind of in full?
Yeah. So 8 students. Yeah, I think that's still right. 8 students and about 9,300. Yeah. So,
9,300.
so
Amazing, man.
yeah.
See, that's the cool thing is to realize, okay, you know what? I've pulled in those 8 students over, maybe I've gotten like 2 or 3 sales, per month to kind of generate that. once you realize, wow, I'm dialing in my lead follow-up, I'm dialing in my sales skills, if I can get more calls on the calendar and keep increasing my closing percentage, who's to say I can't make 2 or 3 to 4 sales a week, right? If I got,
Yeah.
maybe if I got a 50% close rate, maybe I just got to get 8 calls on the calendar, right? There's four right there that I can hit back to back. Now you're looking at not 2 to 3 for the month, but you're looking at, wow, maybe I got 10. How do I hit that 10K mark, right? For the month? What would that do to my mindset of opening that up to say, wow, just did that. Could I do it again? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. Love that. Just got a few more questions, man. What do you feel like this has kind of started to open up for you, just like thinking down the line long term for you and your family? Because like you were saying, I wanted to do this because I wanted to be able to generate more income. I wanted to be able to take care of my family, maybe open up that door to maybe expand your family. Is this kind of something that you're starting to kind of see that there's not like a barrier anymore? Like really the sky's the limit for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, like it's a model you can keep growing and scale. And
Mhm.
especially, to sign up for like the next phase of the group launch growth or accelerator, I forget the name, but basically to grow to the next
Our Ascension
level and
program, yeah.
ascension. Yeah, it was one of those
Mhm.
words. To learn how to hire people and stuff like that. And I'm like, and that's really the dream to really see that can grow. And like you said, it makes sense logically that if I developed a system with that for X amount of money, I can get this many leads in and book this many clients, that I can just turn that up, just put out, more ads to more people, spend more on the
Mhm.
ads, get more people in, and it can just grow from there, And that's why I say, there's still a lot of growth, that I see for the business, but it's like that in that moment where I see like when I make a few sales a week, again, I know I'm not guaranteed to make that many every week. Like again, I didn't necessarily, book any sales over Thanksgiving or close any, but like really believing like this is repeatable and scalable, right?
Yeah.
And I'm really honestly thankful now I didn't get another job where like if I would have had like a $90,000 salary, cybersecurity job over the course of 10 years, that salary could increase to 200K maybe. But with this, it's having intention to really learn the business model and scale it, it's going to scale a lot faster, I believe. And
Yeah.
because it just makes sense that it's like, that's you have some success that's repeatable that I can see it, keep
Mhm.
repeating and I can see it grow. So yeah, so long-term goals is just, really see it continue to grow. Like I mentioned, expanding my family. I just had a third kid a couple months ago. So
Girl or boy?
girl, yeah. So now I've got a 5-year-old girl, 3-year-old boy, and a newborn girl. Yeah.
Amazing. Congrats, man. We have my wife and I, we have a 16-month-old daughter right now, and it's been the coolest thing, watching her grow up and also having the flexibility to be able to spend more time with her and with my wife, open up opportunities for her to work part-time and different things like that. I know everybody's situation is different, but I'm just telling you, man, like this is something that you have control over, and anybody watching this, you have control over. Like John was saying, he kind of jumped up into our Ascension program where we teach about refining your client journey. We teach about back end sales. We teach about going ahead and doing basic hiring, how to go ahead and maybe bring on a VA or another tutor so that you're not having to do all the delivery. Again, that buys your time back. And if you can get really good at the sales and the marketing and all of that, John, it's amazing how it opens up doors for you down the line as well. As you think about everything that you've learned, because we've jumped into a lot of different things, man, along the way. Can you speak at all to the community? Can you speak at all to the coaching and the clinics or the pods that you've kind of been into? What's that looked like for your side, just in your growth and your ability to kind of go ahead and, continue to find that belief, continue to find that growth?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that of course has been a super important part. Yeah, I really appreciated Zach, my coach. We had like a messaging system, usually very responsible. Like I have a question,
Hmm.
especially when I first started. I'm like, hey, what about this? What about this? And he kind of, was able to respond quickly and give that
Yeah.
feedback. When I wasn't sure about if I should do ACT tutoring or math tutoring, I'm like, well, because Zach does AP calculus. I'm like, I could do AP
Yes.
calculus too. Like, is AP calculus good? Like, which one's better? And him kind of sharing, it's really, about finding your realm of genius. What are you really good at and scaling
Hmm.
that and kind of help me figuring that I could do this test prep would be a good model. And then like you mentioned, yeah, there's so many meetings during the week that you can attend that are, clinics, office hours, things like that. And so yeah, I've been doing the ads clinic and the sales clinic pretty much every week. Yeah, that first, start and then been working on the curriculum clinic and all those are really great. You have like mindset meetings, which really in many ways is the most important. Like you think about you got to learn the details and stuff, but those are really valuable. I forget what you call it. It's like a 5-module course at the beginning about like building habits, about like habit
Five to
trackers and
thrive. Yeah.
five, yeah, 5 to thrive. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And so I mean that's some of the most valuable stuff. Like learning, people are successful. What are the actual like practical habits that you need to build in your life so you
Yeah.
can be successful? How do you become the person that can actually do the things that you want to do? And just realizing that you help in that personal journey of
You cracked
growth.
the code. You've cracked the
Amazing.
code, John, like in regards
Yeah.
to understanding mindset is 85% of the journey, right? Everybody thinks it's the opposite, all the technical stuff. Mindset, I don't want to deal with that. No, like your identity and who you see yourself as has a direct influence on like the outward results that you're going to get at the end of the day. I
Mhm.
also love, you've mentioned it a few different times. You weren't looking for that like magic pill. It should be working immediately. It was like, no,
Right.
I'm going to be a student. I'm going to keep working on this. I'm not going to get overwhelmed by like, oh, it should have happened today. It's like, no, it will, right? It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. I tell people that all the time. Your persistence, your
Yeah.
dedication, your consistency of just saying, I'm going to learn this. I might fail at it a handful of times, more than that, right? But I'm going to keep picking up skills from those moments that I fall so that I don't have to fall in the future, right? At the end of the day, which is great. So I love it, man. Just seeing you just step into this rock and roll and just seeing your excitement for the future, I think is really cool for you, your family, your business. Sky's the limit. Just last question, man, just to kind of wrap up here today. If you had to kind of share maybe one or two gold nuggets, something that maybe has really stuck out to you that you feel like could help anybody, maybe in the beginning of their journey or somebody who might not be even in the program yet that's watching this, what comes to mind for you?
I think just like you said, that thing of perseverance, and because sometimes the process is usually going to take a little bit longer than you want it to, right? There's going to be a place where like it gets hard. So for example, like when I joined the beginning of August, I'm hoping, hey, if I work really hard and work like 50 hours a week and as much curriculum as I can, I think I launched running ads like the second week I was in the program. As like if I could just like maybe crank up the budget really fast and work really hard, really fast on everything, I can get like 5 sales by the end of the month, and then I'll be good, because that's what I needed. And so when I don't do that, again, it would have been really easy for me to just give up. Well, sort of. I had already invested in the program, so at that point, that's one thing that's actually really good about really
Locked in.
investing in a program like this. Like if and that's the thing where like if this and that's why I think the investment is actually very important. Not just you guys have to run a business and you have to receive money from people, but if this was a free program that I was learning from you guys, I probably would have stopped in September. I would have got a different job. I would have gone like knocked on the door of the schools around, found a job at the school, or working the pool job. I'm like working 10 hours a day cleaning pools. I don't have time for this anymore.
Mhm.
But just being locked in and committed, like even if I'm working 10-hour days, I'm also still work 4 or 5 hours in the night doing tutoring sessions, sales calls, building curriculum, tracking
Yeah.
ads. So just that perseverance that usually, I mean, because part of what gave me motivation is really I've spent a lot of time researching stories of people who are successful, like in all areas, like people who are like entrepreneurs who become successful. All of them go through hard points, right? So usually you have to go past the moment where you think it's time to give up. It's like, it's almost cliche, the little, image you'll see sometime, like somebody like digging for gold and they stop and turn back and it's like, right, the next
Mhm.
thing. And it's like, you have to persevere just a little further past where you're ready to give up, where it seems too hard. Right. Gosh, I think back to, so share a little more detail. My daughter was born in September, actually, right after I started working in the pool business. My boss was obviously very nice. I got a couple of days off, but I also know, I just committed to help his business. They got this huge list. So I'm going, and then my baby was early. She was in the NICU, right? So I go days without seeing her. Yeah, I've been working hard, Like I said, bringing my laptop, setting up for sales calls on the way home in my work
Mhm.
truck, staying up till midnight after I do back-to-back sales calls and tutoring sessions, making sure my curriculum is ready for the next day, making sure, I'm tracking everything. And it's like, you're going to have to probably work harder than you think you do. You're going to probably have to persevere just a little bit past where you hope it's going to work out, but that there's success on the other side of that. And yeah, and even just like learning the mindset, like just how it works with running ads. Like you don't expect every lead to be a winner. You got to think in person. I guess that would be the second. So first nugget would be persevere past where you think it's time to give up. And the second is really thinking percentages and statistics, not everyone, right? So again, being a math guy, I think statistically, I don't care if somebody doesn't buy the program on my call because there'll be another one, right? If statistically, if I do 100 sales calls and I'll probably 30 of them, and they say, I think what you guys taught in the program, about probably 10% of people are going to buy no matter what. Like you could be a terrible salesperson. Hey, here's my program. I think I'll help people. And they'll be like, all right, sure. I think that's what I want. They'll sign up. Whereas like another 10%, maybe nothing you could say or do would ever convince them. Where like the middle 80%, it's going to depend, as long as you're getting like, qualified leads that are like within that realm of what you're doing. The middle 80% are going to be your ability to effectively communicate and persuade, right? And so realizing that, I'm gonna do my best to follow the model, and then some people are just not gonna buy, and that's okay. Some leads won't answer me, and that's okay. And just like keep going, and just like realize if you're like dependent, and I feel like there's something that people can sense your energy. Like if I'm approaching the sales call, like, man, I really need this person to buy because I've got to feed my family and I'm in a hard spot. Like if that's my mindset, So if you're in that state, it's they're gonna sense that. Like it's gonna feel pushy. But like if I just totally trust, and for me personally, like in this season, there's a lot of me just, in my faith, just trusting in God. Like because if I'm
Mm,
stressed out that I have to do this on my own, like I have to close the sales, like I would have probably not sold it as well. But just trusting, hey, I just believe things are gonna work out. I'm doing my best. I know I'm gonna have to work hard, but like approaching the sales call, like I don't want to be pushy if it's not a good fit for them. I want to just explain the program, see if they see the value that I know it has, and say they sign up. And really coming ready to show up for the students, because that's the other thing. It can be easy then in just focusing on trying to book in new sales, but realizing, hey, the most important thing is that I'm valuing the clients that have already paid, that are in the program, doing everything I can to keep improving what I'm doing, improving my student experience, making sure they're getting as much possible value. To summarize, I hope I'm not rambling too much, but to summarize kind of my second nugget
dropping
is
gold, man.
really actually care about your students more than yourself. Like value their success more than your own success, and like
Yeah.
seeing them be successful. And then I
When
believe
you
it's just one of
change
those things
that,
that'll just
it
go back.
changes everything. Like I'm here to help this person as opposed to I'm
Yeah.
here to make a sale. And I
Hmm.
just seeing you use the word trust, right? To have
Hmm.
faith in
Yeah.
that, to trust that, you know what, I'm going to do my best on this call. I'm going to try to connect and really help this person. But if when the cards fall, it's not there, that's okay. There's going to be another call. There's going to be another student. There's going to be another family that needs help. And I'm going to go ahead and put myself there, right? Because again, that's what leaders do. We lead from the front and we say, hey, how can we go ahead and help? I just also loved what you said about just the patience, right? I just always come back to the adage of it's going to cost twice as much as you think. It's going to take twice as long as you think, and you're not the exception, right? And most people want that quick fix. And I think it's just really cool. Like you were saying, I made the investment to do this program. It kind of locked me in. And I kind of look at it like marriage, right? Like, hey, we got married. Guess what? Rings on the finger. It's not easy to
Hmm.
get out now. That forces us to have to figure this out. We got to find a solution
Yeah.
in order to cooperate, communicate, figure these things out. And sometimes that's what we need. We don't, when we start running a business, it's not, a cakewalk, right? But it's the most fulfilling thing that you could possibly, get involved in because you have that creative ability. And pulling the ripcord, yeah, if we're not tied into something, guess what? We'd pull it and we'd run the other way as soon as it got hard. And that's not good either. So I love it, John. Great job, man. I'm just so proud of you. And what's your daughter's name? Your twin?
Nova.
Nova. I know at some point, man, Nova might see this video and be like, man, my dad was freaking busting it when I was first born, trying to go ahead and work a pool job, trying to go ahead and start a business, trying to be a great dad and a great father, great husband, man. I just want to affirm you in that. You have stepped up and just becoming, who God made you to be. I'm just so proud of you. And just remember one last thing here, man, before we go. Everything's not ours at the end of the day. I'm very, very deep in my faith as well, and just realizing that when I realized my business wasn't mine, but it was God's,
Mm,
and I'm
yeah.
managing
Hmm.
that business, it was like the pressure fell off my shoulders and I realized, okay, I'm going to be the best manager I can. And I'm going to be learning, I'm going to be growing, and I'm going to do that for him. It's super, super powerful, man. So just really, really proud of you for everything that you've done and the success that you've had, man. And sky's the limit. I'll kick it to you, man. Last thing, I'll give you the mic. Anything else you want anybody else to know kind of watching this video?
Oh, it's just last thing. We will mention our faith. Like, if you don't know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, that's the most important thing. The secondary, sign up for the Teacher Project. You really should. It's awesome. From personally, the most important thing I ever want to tell anybody is like, like Jesus, God, the God, the Creator of the universe, loves you. Like, He has a heart. He has a passion for you. He formed you for a purpose. He made each of you uniquely, and He loved you so much. He was willing to die on the cross for your sins, everything you've ever done wrong, everything you've ever felt ashamed of. Like, He took that punishment on the cross so you could live
Mm,
eternal life with Him. And that's not just a life when you die. That's like to have a relationship with him now, to know that you are valued, to know that you are loved. And so,
mm.
with an open floor to say anything, that's what I'll say.
Love it. Love it, man. Thank you for going ahead, just sharing your story. And again, man, I just want you to know from myself, the coaching team, our entire success team, we love having you here within the community. And really, it's our vision here as we move into 2026, just to keep building this movement, right? Helping teachers like yourself and anybody watching this. If you guys have a passion, God-given gift to go ahead and work with students and help them have those light bulb moments, those breakthrough moments, guys, we want you to be a part of the Teacher Project and be a part of this movement as we continue to build just this amazing online community of teachers that just love to give, serve, and support each other and really building out the next generation. So if you're catching this video, there's a link somewhere down there, guys. We'd love for you to click on it, have a conversation with one of our team members, and we'd love to welcome you into the family. So, John, thank you so much, man. I hope you have an amazing rest of your Monday, and we will chat soon. Okay?
Absolutely. Thanks.